$64 billion worth of American data center projects have now been blocked or delayed by local opposition. And in one small New York town, a dozen neighbors keep showing up, month after month, determined to add to that number. From a developer suing a Minnesota suburb over its moratorium, to Indianapolis moving to freeze new construction, to federal regulators handing the nation's grid operators an ultimatum, the fight over America's AI build-out is escalating on every front. We begin in Portland, New York, a small town near Lake Erie where the fight against a proposed data center has become a monthly ritual. The site is the former Sugar Hill Golf Course on Route 5. And every time the town board meets, opponents show up, roughly a dozen in June, and about the same in July, to say the same thing. Not here. Resident Kelly Perlette's online petition against the project has gathered more than 3,500 signatures, and lawn signs sponsored by the Grape Belt Community Group now dot yards across town. And what's happening in Portland is happening everywhere. Data Center Watch has tallied $64 billion worth of projects blocked or delayed by local opposition, and in the first 4 months of this year alone, communities rejected or restricted more than 70 projects, more than in all of last year combined. That kind of resistance is now landing in courtrooms. But in Minnesota, it's the industry doing the suing. Eagan Capital, a local development company, has filed a lawsuit against the city of Eagan, asking a judge to void the Twin Cities suburb's one-year data center moratorium and award at least $50,000 in damages. The moratorium, in place until February of next year, blocks any new data center within 500 feet of homes, or any facility drawing more than 20 megawatts of electricity. The company's core argument is about power. Literally, it claims that regulating electricity demand belongs to the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission, not a city council, and that Eagan acted beyond its legal authority when it tied the pause to power consumption. The city isn't backing down, saying it is confident in its position and intends to vigorously defend the moratorium through the legal process. While developers fight one moratorium in Minnesota, a much bigger one may be coming. In Indianapolis, City-County Council President Maggie Lewis announced she will introduce a proposal to temporarily halt new data center construction across the city, with the measure headed to the council's Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee on Monday. Lewis says the pause would give councilors, the mayor's administration, and community stakeholders time to evaluate the long-term impacts of these developments. Projects already approved, including the Metroblox data center in Martindale-Brightwood and the Saby facility in Decatur Township, would be grandfathered in, and Indianapolis is following its own state's lead. Researchers at Indiana University have identified 11 counties with data center ordinances, at least 17 with temporary moratoriums, and 2, Marshall and Cass, that have banned new data centers outright. That's nearly a third of all Indiana counties, in a state actively courting the industry. And the reason these pauses keep gaining momentum comes down to one thing: the grid. Now federal regulators are stepping in. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has issued show cause orders to all 6 of the nation's regional grid operators: PJM, MISO, the Southwest Power Pool, California's ISO, ISO New England, and New York's ISO, directing them to justify or rewrite the rules that govern how data centers and other giant loads plug into the grid. The first deadline hits July 20th, when each operator must file a report explaining how it will ensure enough generation exists to serve both existing customers and the wave of new large loads. After that, they have 60 days to defend their current tariffs or file reforms covering co-location, behind-the-meter generation, flexible loads, and protections against shifting costs onto ordinary ratepayers. It is the most aggressive federal intervention yet in the data center power crunch. The pressure on the grid is only half the story. Water tells the other half. New market research puts a number on it. American AI data centers consumed roughly 1 trillion liters of water last year. 264 billion gallons. Equal to the annual water use of nearly 2 million Americans. And consumption is now running at 550 million gallons every single day. The timing could hardly be worse. Nearly 63% of the country is in drought, and 2/3 of the 809 data centers planned nationwide are slated for land that has been drought-stricken within the past year. In Texas, facilities used an estimated 49 billion gallons last year, a figure projected to reach nearly 400 billion by 2030. And in Tennessee, one of the fastest-growing AI hubs, the Tennessee Valley Authority reports runoff at its fourth lowest level in 152 years of record-keeping. Yet despite the drought, the lawsuits, and the moratoriums, construction is pressing forward at a scale that's hard to comprehend, and nowhere more so than in one rural Missouri county, Montgomery County, population under 12,000. Has now landed $25 billion in data center commitments. Amazon is investing $10 billion in a campus dubbed Project Green, spread across 1,000 acres at the Interstate 70 and Highway 19 interchange near New Florence. Google is building right beside it, committing $15 billion to a 900-acre campus of its own. Officials tout 400 permanent Amazon jobs, thousands of construction jobs, and hundreds of millions of dollars in property tax revenue over the next quarter-century. But the twin projects are dividing the community, and Amazon has responded with more than $7 million in local sweeteners, including money for emergency dispatch, the county fairgrounds, and community programs. And some of that new capacity is already switching on. In Avondale, Arizona, just west of Phoenix, Prime Data Centers has opened the first facility at what will become a 240-megawatt hyperscale campus, a more than $3 billion investment packed onto just 66.5 acres. The full build-out calls for 5 buildings totaling 1.3 million square feet, each delivering 48 megawatts of critical IT capacity. To feed it, Prime has already commissioned the first phase of a dedicated on-site substation rated at 250 megawatts, supporting an initial deployment of 144 megawatts. And in a state where water politics loom over every project, the company is leaning on advanced closed-loop cooling technology that it says dramatically reduces water consumption. Phoenix is now one of the fastest-growing data center markets in America. And campuses like this one are the reason why. And the financial world is making its own moves, betting biggest on what's already built. Digital Realty has agreed to buy out Blackstone's stake in 3 fully leased data centers in Northern Virginia, the heart of the world's data center alley. The portfolio, 2 facilities in Manassas and 1 on the Digital Dulles campus in Sterling, carries a gross value of $7.8 billion and 288 megawatts of capacity, all leased to 3 investment-grade hyperscale customers. Blackstone walks away with $3.5 billion for its 64% interest, $1.2 billion in cash and $2.3 billion in Digital Realty stock. In a market where new projects face protests, lawsuits, and years-long grid queues, a stabilized, fully leased data center has become one of the most valuable assets in American real estate. That's the briefing. The numbers keep getting bigger, and so does the fight. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment. It helps us cover more of these stories.